Hello, Jorge. Good morning. How are you doing today?
Hola, Francisco. Doing great. Thank you very much. And what about you? How's it
Oh,
going?
doing fantastic over here on this side of the waves. Well, here we are, one more week, ready to start talking about Spain
Yep.
again, our home
Again,
country.
of course. We're going to be touching a topic that's going to take us, you and me, back in time. And we're going to get a little bit nostalgic. But first of all, let's go with our symphony. Okay?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Spanish Loops. On this side, we have Francisco Glaria from travelingsteps.es, and on the
And
other side, we have Jorge Roman from travelingwithjorge.com.
do you
Hello.
have a glass ball, Francisco, to know who's in the other side?
Well, I know you are on the other side. You better be. So, Jorge, you said we are going to get nostalgic this
Yeah,
week. What are we
yeah.
going to be talking about?
We're going to be talking about, although we are more or less from the same time frame and in the 20th century, you're going to become a little bit nostalgic because our intention today is to talk about the evolution of television in Spain.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
Ain't
my
that
God.
beautiful? And hasn't it changed from
Oh
we were
my
babies to
goodness. Yeah.
today?
My goodness. Every time it comes in a conversation with tour members of any group I take. Doesn't it happen to you when haven't you ever touched that topic when you talk about how it was television in the late 70s and 80s and how
It's,
was television in other countries?
it is. It's so different because
Yeah.
obviously we were coming from what we were coming. But why don't we start a little bit with history?
Please,
Okay.
please go ahead. Yeah.
So the first TV that we had, or the first TV shows that were on TV. It was in 1948. Okay. So at
But
that time,
those were just testings, right?
there were testings. It was just the beginning. This is the moment when in Spain we do have yet again Franco, the big
Uh,
dictator.
yeah, of course.
Franco, he was a son of a gun. And don't get me wrong, I think he was not a good person, but he was a clever man. And one of the things he knew is that, well, he was. I mean, let's not take that from him.
Well,
He knew that, or he thought that the future of brainwashing people was going to be
I think it's like any
television.
dictatorship and any mandatory person is the people around him.
Well, I mean, the team that he had.
I don't see Franco as a clever person. I'm
No.
sorry, I don't. He was a dumb. He was just
Okay,
a
okay, okay.
tyrant.
But
Okay,
the important
but
thing is that the
okay,
dictatorship, let's
yeah,
not put the name Franco, the dictatorship, the
yep.
whoever was telling him, understood that until that moment, 1948, 1950s, it's the movies, the cinema, it was the way for people to entertain, to let
Hmm.
down. And it was the way Franco was using to brainwash people.
Absolutely.
It was something called Nodo, Nodo.
Oh my God, yeah, that's right.
And it
No,
was
no,
the Nodo. It was, we had Nodo all the way to our age, okay, when we were
yeah,
born. I remember being a
yeah.
kid and going to the movies. And we had Nodo. Nodo, it was a Franco commercial. It was,
You know what NODO stands for?
no,
Two words.
okay,
No, do. No is noticiero, news,
okay.
and DO, dominical, Sunday news.
Oh, okay, Sunday news, because I guess people went to the movies on Sundays.
Yeah, that's right.
So the Nodo, it was just images of Franco doing all the greatness that Franco did,
Oh
according
yeah.
to Franco. It was Franco going to mass with his wife, when playing with his kids. It was Franco inaugurating,
A
I don't know,
dam.
a
Yeah,
dam.
yeah.
It was Franco. All the brainwashing that Franco wanted to do, it was done through the movies. But the world changed, and we have suddenly television.
Hmm.
And 1948 is when the first steps of television started in Spain.
Yeah, but as you well admitted earlier, that it was just testing to see how they could do it, where from, what was the reach of the signal, etc., etc. But do we have any, or do you have any data about whether it was established as a chain per se with a regular
Mm, no, the regular
broadcast?
news and regular broadcasting. No, do you know
Yeah, I do.
when?
Yeah, actually, I do.
Oh,
It was in October, the ending of October 1956, and it
so
was called Televisión Española, Spanish television.
television. Well, he
Okay.
didn't work the name a lot.
No, it didn't.
So 1956 is when we
Yeah,
start having official
but
broadcasting.
yeah, and it was just only a handful of homes that they had a TV set because it was huge the amount of money that you needed that.
Well,
Okay.
you need to bring them from other countries. They were not produced yet in
Oh yeah, they
Spain.
were imported by all means.
They were
Yeah, yeah,
imported.
that's right. Yeah,
And
and in those days, the guess what? In a way, it was. How can I put this in words? Because it united people, because those who could afford, maybe with a loan from the bank or maybe gathering some money and making a lot of sacrifices, were the owners that in those days they had bars and social clubs
mhm.
because working class people could not afford to buy one of those. So if you had a TV set on a bar and on Sunday evening or Saturday evening they were broadcasting a football match, that was the entire business of the whole week for the owners of those premises, right?
Yeah, I mean, everybody aimed to have a TV, but nobody could afford one.
Yeah.
So the little bars everywhere around, they would have these TVs and they would put all every day the TV was going to be on in any bar, in a cafeteria, and everywhere if they had it. It was a way to attract people to see the television. And let's not forget that we are talking, it's television during a dictatorship.
Mm.
Obviously, everything was pro the regime.
Correct. And you know what else they have in the grid?
The what?
News
News.
regarding
Franco
the
news.
propaganda, that's right. Educational programs,
Okay.
also another way to introduce propaganda through the
Mhm.
educational programs, and classical music concerts.
Those were the only things that they were on TV. A little bit later, as you said, we had the soccer.
Oh,
There were
yeah, yeah,
suddenly,
yeah,
during Franco times, there were only two big entertainments.
yeah.
It was soccer and bullfighting. And that was all we saw. Not us, our elderly, our parents, our grandparents. That's all they saw on TV. It
Hmm.
was soccer and bullfighting.
Bullfights.
That's why our generation, people that we are 50, 60 now, we our parents they saw these two sports, this bullfighting sport, well, this bullfighting and soccer, and it was 24/7. That was it.
Yeah.
So everybody in Spain wanted to be back then either a bullfighter or a soccer player
Soccer
because
player, that's
they were the
right.
heroes of the country. It was like the only thing you could be.
Yeah.
And so obviously we're talking black and white.
Oh, of
Yeah.
course. And a little technical curiosity about that, they implemented a system of 625 lines. We're talking about the cathodic tubes, not the flat screens that we have
Yeah.
now. Okay,
This
it
is
was it was the like my mom used to call those kind of televisions the screen with the big ass, because they were
with a big behind. Yes, they had a big behind.
Yeah, a bit behind. Yeah, and there is another curiosity here. This is not technical, but in 1958, when the regime realized that those taverns and bars that they were in out of the city centers, neighborhoods, in working class people, quarters, etc., that people were gathering so much in bars just to watch those soccer or football, how we call them, uh, they approved a kind of a law just practically from one day to another that they ordered to Spanish companies. Actually, one of them was in Spanish, was Vanguard. the brand
Okay.
Vanguard.
Uh-huh.
They It was a mandatory that they had to manufacture a TV set, a receiver TV set, affordable for working class people. So, I mean, they were cracked most of the time, but at least they could say, hey, we have a TV set here. And that was because with a year in advance, they were planning to broadcast live, not live television in those days, only a few moments, but the rest of the program was pre-recorded, okay?
Hmm.
But live, they were planning to air the match or the game between Real Madrid and Barcelona.
Ooh, the big, big,
The
big
big one, and
Spanish
that happened
league.
in 1959. I'm reading it here. Yes, and that
Right?
happened. And guess what?
What?
Like about 20% of the population within months had a TV set at home because of
Wow.
that. They wanted to see from their home the live game. Can you believe it?
Well, yes, because it was the thing to do,
Yeah,
watch
that's right.
soccer.
Yeah.
And one thing about these gatherings that we were saying on the bars to watch before everybody bought a TV,
Hmm.
people have to understand that in Spain, Franco had a law that not more than five people could gather on a place
Yeah,
because they could make a plot, except in the bars if they were watching TV.
that's right. Yeah.
So really, it was
Isn't it
like
weird?
mind
Isn't it weird?
blowing. I mean, it's like, okay, if you're watching bullfight or bull soccer, then you can get along.
Yeah, that's
People would
right.
not talk about politics. It's just what they were doing, watching TV. It's
Yeah,
like TV.
yeah.
So then people started buying TVs in the end of 1950s, beginning of 1960s. Obviously, not everybody could afford it. And I I was born in 71, okay? And I remember that when I was born, when I was very little, we had one TV at home, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But not all of our neighbors had a TV at home. So our neighbors, the kids, they would come home to, after doing the homework, whatever, they would come home and there would be like 10, 12 kids watching TV in our house because not everybody, 1971, which is,
Yeah.
we should all had one. We didn't have one. Okay, so we were lucky enough to have one TV, and all of these kids they would come, and when something important was going to happen, the parents would come home and watch TV. It was
Watch
like
TV.
the
Yeah.
goal. Try to have a TV. It was not that easy buying a TV.
Let me say something regarding that, and then I will say a fun fact. Okay?
Okay.
I remember perfectly the first TV that we had at home. I was like about 6 years old, or maybe five. It was in 1970 when we moved from the old house we were living. It was just falling into pieces. And then we moved to one of those neighborhoods that they were built for the working class people in what today is the city center of Malaga. But in those days, it was just in the middle of nowhere, right? I mean, there were
Mhm.
even no road access. It was just dirt roads to get to that area. So sewage wasn't working most of the time. Half the day, water didn't have enough power to reach our homes. But I remember my father, he made a big sacrifice to inaugurate our home, our new home, with a TV set. Okay. And so I remember that perfectly. And then this is the fun fact that you are going to remember, Francisco, because
Okay.
that happened all over the 70s. Don't you remember that television in those days, they had a very strict timing? It was only from 2 o'clock when it was the news until 4 or 4:30 because it was like a kind of a show,
Mhm.
Spanish, of course, Spanish drama show after the news, and then they shut the transmitting the signal, and you could see nothing but blurred the screen,
Mhm.
and then they reopened the airing at 6 or 6:15 because the school used to finish at 6 p.m. And then they were starting with cartoons. Remember
Yes.
that?
Vamos a la cama, que
Wait,
hay
wait,
que
wait, 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 wait,
despertar.
wait a minute, wait a minute. They were starting with cartoons. Then there was some kind of cultural program. And then by 9 o'clock, and still today, 9 o'clock in the national channel, that Televisión Española, Spanish television, still sixth, um, is run by the state and is the equivalent to PBS in the United States, right?
Mhm.
and but extremely good quality nowadays. Anyway, before the news, there were a kind of cartoons that they were called the Family Telerin. Is a word game there, and they were singing that song that you were singing before, which
Vamos
was
a la cama,
"Cama
que
que
hay
hay
que
que descansar."
descansar. So it was this all of these little kids that they
Yeah,
were going to the bathroom to brush their teeth, and then they would go singing to
to
bed.
bed.
And
Yes,
we
right.
all knew it was like, no, we have to go to bed. So after that little song, I think
Yeah,
it's stuck in all of our generation's
it
brain,
is.
that
It is.
song.
Yeah,
And it was like,
it
okay,
is.
that's it. And you would go to bed.
That's
That was
right.
it. You were
Mhm.
not allowed to watch any more television. But the parents stayed for the news and a little cultural TV show
Mhm.
afterwards.
Yeah. The, I remember also not long after that in the early 80s, I think like it was like about 82, 83, when they started broadcasting in the mornings. And that was like everybody saying, why
Why?
are they doing that? No one is going to watch TV in the morning.
Well, little did we know.
Yeah, I mean, it's still in those days, it was the society in Spain was very it was still, the man was the one who had to work and the women had to be at home. But hey, how many women were at home in the morning doing their homework?
Yeah,
No,
the
cleaning the
house.
house, cooking, etc. So the audience just raised up rocket high. It was just like a boom of a new format of television, and then they started broadcasting something like from 9 or 9:30 with some gossiping programs. We're talking just post Franco now,
Yeah.
okay? 82, 83, and then it was all day long, but finishing still in those days in the early 80s with the national anthem.
Yes. Oh my God, that's right. The end of the television show, it was the national anthem
That's
that we don't
right.
have anymore. So you can imagine, it's like, no, no, no.
Yeah.
So once Franco died, 1975, by that time we only had two TV channels. La
Well,
Uno,
I would say one
La
and a
Dos.
half.
One and a half. Yeah, there we go. With the second channel, it was not broadcasted all day long.
No, all day long. You know that because of the orography of Spain, they had technical difficulties when they started in 1957, I think it was. Um, they had to start in a provisional studios that they built in purpose here in the center of Madrid. But in a kind of Madrid is fairly flat. Madrid, the city, is very flat, but it's surrounded by mountains on the west and on the north. So what happened? The antenna, it was like 90 meters high. That is like almost 300 feet high, enough to cover 70 kilometers, like about 50 miles distance. That was the initial broadcasting. Then they installed repeaters here and there, etc., etc. And eventually, I remember perfectly. I mean, my God, vividly, like if I was living it right now, that some family I had in the outskirts of Malaga in a town called Antequera, that it depended on the weather
The
they could
wind.
watch tele or not.
Yeah, I mean, that also happened where I come from. I mean, we're all the way in the north and
Yeah,
in the city of Pamplona, yes, but if we would go to my grandparents' village in the Pyrenees,
yeah.
once in a while there was television.
We're talking about no cable. It was just aerial
No,
antennas.
aerial. And we're talking 1970s, beginning of 1980s. So it's
Yeah,
not that.
yeah,
So
right.
one of the things that changed the whole thing, it was in 1990 when other televisions were welcome into Spain, right?
Wait a minute. There was another big change before.
Oh,
Think a little
sweet.
bit. Yeah, come on.
Okay, color television.
Yeah, that's right.
Color television. There we go. There we go. There we go. So yes, color television. Well, I've I've been researching, and strangely enough, color television came in 1972.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
But I perfectly remember the
Yeah.
day the color television came to my house. I mean, we only had black and white for many, 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 many years.
Do you remember your first color TV?
Yes, I do perfectly remember the first color TV.
How old were you?
I don't know how old I was, but it would be like 7, 8. So it was probably 1980.
1980. Yeah, my first. Well, not my mom because my
Yeah,
dad
my
already
parents
passed.
first.
Yeah, my mom. did again another sacrifice because obviously color television was tremendously expensive.
Yes.
Okay, and not all the programs were broadcasted in color. So you had to still see, whether you like it or not, things in black and white, and also the repeaters, they had to be adapted to the new system, to the color TV, and it was in 1983.
83. Yeah, so probably around when I had the TVA, 1990, 1980, 1983.
Hmm.
Around there is when we got our first color TV. Oh
Yeah,
my God, that was a
yeah,
different world. That was amazing, amazing, amazing,
and
amazing.
no remote.
Oh, hell no.
You know who was the remote in my home?
You.
Yeah.
You were the little one, so it had to be you. It was always
The
the little
little one
brother or
was
the
the
little
remote
sister.
control. Hey, you go and change the channel.
Put the
Turn the sound
volume
up.
up, put the volume down. Oh
Oh my
God.
God.
I was the middle boy, so it was my brother, the one next after me, who
Yeah.
was a remote control. He is still today is like, you use me as like a slave to watch television. I'm like,
Slavery, child slavery.
oh, give me a break, you little fool. Anyway, so
Well,
the
you
thing
were
is that
you were saying about the 90s and the big change, yeah.
the big change came in the 1990s. Suddenly, all of these new TV channels, new
Mhm.
all it was four new TV channels. Okay, it was Antena 3, it was Telecinco, La Sexta.
No, La Sexta came much
It was later. It was
later.
two, only
Yeah.
two more.
No,
But
and
the
there was
thing,
another pay-per-view, which
there we
was
go,
kind
Canal
of
Plus.
scandalous because
Oh,
here
okay,
we
okay,
don't
okay.
we don't pay TV license like in many countries. You
Yes,
can buy a tele and you just plug it in the antenna and
and
watch it.
I
Okay?
watched. Okay, so let's talk about first of all when the two big, Telecinco
And
and
Antena 3.
Antena 3, they
Yeah.
came.
Yeah.
Suddenly, this is two TV channels that they were not controlled by the government anymore. Okay,
True, they're private channels.
they were private channels, one more liberal than the other. Okay, and especially Telecinco, the more liberal
Hmm.
one. You have, it is this is going to be sound very tacky, okay? But
Yeah.
we were coming from the dictatorship, everything black and white and everything controlled and everything, and suddenly this new TV channel brought las mamachicho.
Okay, you tell the audience what Mama
So
Chichos were.
it was a TV show and variety TV show. The thing is that evolution of TV after Franco, it was pretty much more free, but pretty much what Franco was doing. Okay, soccer not anymore as much, bullfighting, but very cultural, very. And suddenly we have these mamachicho girls, who it was, I think it was five or six Brazilian women that it was a contest TV show or something, but they were, in Brazilian carnival outfits, barely wearing nothing, dancing and moving, and the beautiful smile, beautiful skin, beautiful hair. It was like, oh my God. It was like, ooh, hormones. Everybody was like, Las Mama Chicho. But now when you see them in 2025, it's like, it looks very like totally not, that would not be accepted today, okay, into Spanish television
You
and
think
in
so?
any countries,
You
because
think so?
it was too, I would say it was too,
Liberal, maybe?
no, back then it was liberal.
Yeah.
Today it would be considered sexually not correct.
Kind of erotic, a little bit
More
more
than
than
erotic,
erotic.
it was
Yeah.
more,
Well, just
yes,
to put our
the
people in
use of the
context
body.
here, there were a bunch of five, six, maybe seven
Yeah.
Brazilian girls, as you said, and they were the chorus of entertainment program
Yes.
introduced by a very famous introducer or showman at the
Presenter.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and every time that there was an excuse to do a break inside of the program, not for commercials, but just
Well,
changing maybe scenarios to go from one place to another. There were the machichos singing and dancing and etc.
halfway
etc.
naked,
They
which
were
was
they were beautiful shaped lady bodies, okay, beautiful smile, white teeth,
yes,
just like that, and everybody was hooked.
yes. We were like,
What was it on a Friday night?
I think it was on Friday night, the Mama
Yeah,
Chichos, and it was
yeah,
like the thing to watch. It was like,
yeah.
oh my God. But these two new TV channels, they brought morning broadcast, afternoon broadcast, and they went on into the night, something that we didn't have in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
As you were
True.
saying, they would cut the transmission by before midnight, I would
Yeah.
say. And suddenly they kept on going. And you said one very important thing. We had one paid TV channel, which was Canal Plus, the French Canal Plus. Okay.
Plus, yeah.
Plus. So this Canal Plus was, it still is in France. It's a very important TV channel that they would bring movies. Okay. And you had to pay to watch. They did have some TV shows that they were open, the rest, they were blurred. Okay.
And they were blurred, and the thing that they have a certain success is because I think it was on Saturday nights, they offered a let's say very hot topic human relationships movies. Okay,
They were
let's put it
porno
that way.
movies. Okay.
I didn't want to say the word, but
But the
okay,
thing is that,
is
okay,
that it?
no, no, I don't know about you, but in my house, we would not pay for Canal Plus. So
No,
we didn't
no,
get
not
to
us.
see
No,
of it.
no.
But if you stayed,
Okay, I'm
okay,
so scared of what you're gonna say now.
something that you had also done, okay, there was this, let's say it, porno movies, but they were totally blurred and you could only see the shadows of the people doing things and you could imagine what they were doing, but you had no idea.
You're
So
sick, Francisco.
tell me that you didn't see it.
No,
Oh, come
I
on.
never thought about that. I couldn't
You
see
never,
anything.
you
No.
did, oh, you didn't have a childhood.
Well, probably my imagination is not as wide as yours.
It was quite clear what they would, anyway.
Okay, guys, now you know.
Okay,
All
I'm
right.
blushing. So yeah, that was
Uh,
my, okay. Let's
Well,
talk about the
Francisco,
weather stuff.
let me just make here a little input about something that happened in the decades of the 80s. That it was before the private channels came into Spain. It was the regional channels,
Okay. We start
right?
having
Because
regional
we had
channels.
the that channel and a half. Let me explain. The channel and a half is the number one, which is the one we just said a few minutes ago. Excuse me, a few minutes ago that they started broadcasting in the morning, a big audience, then the prime time news, no break along the day up until midnight, finishing with the national anthem. Channel 2 was broadcasted on the band of no,
UHF.
UHF,
That's
right?
it.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's right. And it was only from 6 p.m. until 11, and that was sacred. Okay,
Yes.
that was the time of that half channel. Then in the early 80s is when the that channel number 2 extended their hours slightly, little by little, and now it's like any other channel, 24/7. But there was something very revolutionary that happened in the year 1983. The very first regional television station started to broadcast. Guess who were they, Francisco?
Andalusia TV or I
No,
don't, the Catalans?
Basque, Euskal Televista.
Euskal Televista, the Basque TV channel.
In Basque,
In Basque language.
they were using
Wow.
some programs like news, for instance. They were using them in Spanish, but local programs regarding if they're visiting a town because it was a local festivity, etc. People from that town they were talking to the microphone on Basque,
In Basque.
in Basque, and we have mentioned in many of our podcasts that there is like a couple of maybe three generations while Franco dictatorship that they couldn't in Basque country and in Catalonia that they couldn't speak in public Basque or Catalonia, their own language. So what happened? That's why half of the programs were in Spanish and half of them were in
Bas-
Basques. You know, so that
I
was the very
didn't
first
know
one.
that.
Then it was the Catalonian, and then it became to other regions. And I remember perfectly, sometime in the late 80s when I was in those days I was living abroad, and one of the times I came back. Just for a long weekend to visit my mom. One of my sisters were there with her, waiting for me, and then I was just, I mean, I have like a kind of a gap regarding everyday life in Spain in between those years I was abroad. I mean, I was in touch with my people and
Yeah,
etc. I was living in the UK, so many channels over there. So every time I was getting back here, it was like getting back in time regarding TV. And then I remember one of the times I said, "Oh, we already have Andalusian television here," and it was just like a copy of the national news, all right,
yeah.
of the
Well,
national channels. Yeah, but it was a revolution in those days because they were regions. They were starting to have their own TV channels and focus more locally instead of national, right?
well,
Yeah.
those were big moments, big
Oh,
changes in
absolutely,
televisions.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. But then there we are. We enter in the new century, the 2000s, and there is that digital revolution.
Digital revolution, and in 2016 is when we start having pay-per-view TV channels like
Yeah. Cable TV.
Netflix, cable
Mm,
TV, Netflix, HBO, all the big ones,
mm.
Disney Channel, all the big ones. Now we have them in Spain, and especially I think in the pandemic is when we learn how to use these new TV channels because we, we were so used to have, the Spanish television, the national ones or the private ones. Suddenly we have all of these options, and we have learned now that you can see Yellowstone, you can see the Bridgestones, you can see whenever you want. So it's
Yeah,
this TV a la carte that has changed the world. I mean, this is not just
absolutely,
Spain, it has changed the
absolutely.
whole
Yeah,
world, the
the
way
whole
we
thing. Yeah,
watch the screen. Let's not call
yeah.
it anymore television because this is
Mm,
television a la carte.
mm-hmm.
It is a new thing, but this is 2016. So which is yesterday. And really the boom was COVID. I think
Yeah.
with COVID is when we all
And
start back.
you know what happened with the main telephone company in Spain? That I think we have a podcast about that. The origins. I was with the
Movistar.
American telephone company. What today is AT&T, 1920s, etc. Well, now that company has a huge, big. It's a
Platform.
huge consortium. It's a big company, so they offer, of course, telephone service, cell service, television channel, etc. So let me tell you my experience and the aftermath. Some years ago, I decided to change my contract with that company because having um, cable TV at home with the
With them.
300 channels and with the chance to watch them in the original soundtrack. Okay, either Polish or
Mhm.
French, Italian, American, Norwegian. Um then landline at home, my data, internet data for my cell phone, my calls, unlimited, all that pack, what I pay now, is like a fifth of what I used to pay when I only had the cell phone line. So
Yeah.
I use that pack. So when the pandemic, you know what? Inside of that pack that I had, there were some channels that they were restricted, like recent new movies released. Okay, probably a couple of months ago they were in the big screens in the cinema, so now it's in the channel. And there were certain channels, sports channel, that you had to pay a little extra
Extra.
to watch them. What happened on the pandemic when the everything was closed down and we had to stay at home for 6 months in a row?
Mhm.
They opened those channels for free for everybody. So when they closed them again, they had a boom in people subscribing to those new channels. And they made billions out
Wow.
of that. They made billions,
They're
right?
clever.
Yeah.
Well, this
Yeah.
is television. It's television. It's powerful, and it is
Yeah.
the way we relate to the world. Now, yes, we do have internet. Yes, we have YouTube. There's so much that we can access to.
Yeah.
But hey, television has changed a lot
Hmm.
from the very beginning.
I think they have changed a lot globally lately. Okay. But if we compare only 50 years ago, what Spain was television wise, and how was the rest of the world, and how it is today. I mean, I think that we have adapted ourselves very well to these new changes and challenges. And sometimes I think it's like a bit too much. I get overloaded sometimes with so many things. You know?
Now it's impossible. Now it's you
Yeah.
cannot keep track of all the TV shows. Everybody recommends you, hey, you have to watch, I don't know, whatever. Now I'm totally hooked to Yellowstone. That I know it's like season 2 or 3 already, but I've started it now. But you can watch it. You can watch ER again. You can.
Have you seen Game of Thrones?
Nope.
I
Can you
haven't
believe?
either.
Oh my God. I was like, everybody, Game of
I
Thrones.
thought you were gonna say yes, me no, and then you say what? But no, I
No,
haven't. I haven't.
neither have
No,
I.
neither have I. I
I
don't have
started
time.
it
I don't
and I
have
didn't
time.
like it. I was like, this is not for me. It's like, and
No,
everybody's like,
I mean, I haven't even tried because I don't have time.
yeah, it's too
I don't
long.
have time, you know. And now the thing is that you can, if you are, if you have into this platform, you can watch any program from
Yeah.
your from your phone or your tablet. So
Um,
yeah, it is being amazing. Well, Francisco, what are you going to watch tonight for on tele?
So what am I gonna watch? Hey, season 1, episode 5, or Yellowstone. That's what
Oh
I'm
God!
gonna watch.
All right, good luck to you.
Anyway, Jorge, thank you so much for this taking us back in memory and
Well,
this
thank you
beautiful
as well.
nostalgic
Thank
trip to
you.
our
Yeah.
childhood and teenage years. I loved it. I hope people understand now the evolution in our country and the television and the power of television, not just in Spain, but everywhere around the world.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Well, Francisco, thank you as well, and everybody out there. Please subscribe to our channel. That helps a lot. Share, like it, and
Stand
you
up.
know we are delicious, both of us. So follow us.
Yes, of course we are. Not kidding. It will be great. Thank you, everybody. We love you all. Jorge, I'll see you next week. Everybody will see you next week. We love you.
See you next week.
Hasta la vista. Adios.
Bye.
Adios.
Adios. And as usual, we want to thank all our listeners for being there every week, letting us sharing our talks. Follow us in Spanish Loops in Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or your favorite platform.
And in Instagram, you can find us as the Spanish Loops Podcast. No spaces altogether. If you want to find us the quickest way, just Google Spanish Loops Podcast and you will find us. Hasta la vista, amigos.
See you next week.